Well, hello and a very good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today on this slightly drizzly, rainy, miserable afternoon. Um, we're really looking forward to a great lunch and learn. We will have a few people trickling in, no doubt, over the next 5 minutes, but they'll catch up and they'll miss the good little start. So that's on them. Awesome. Well, today we are covering business continuity. We are really stoked to have you here, Stephanie from Ninja, a great trusted partner of us here at the Virtual IT Department. We assess our tools every year, and these guys are coming out on top every time. So I'm really stoked to be able to partner with them and have Stephanie present today a little more information and insight on what's going on in the world of business continuity. So you didn't come here to hear me, so I'm going to hand over to you, Stephanie. And again, thank you for your time. We're really looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Perfect. Thanks, Anna. And good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for spending part of your lunch break with me. Like Anna said, we are going to be talking about business continuity and some of the IT trends that are facing every business owner right now. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and screen share. We'll have questions, of course, time at the end, but just want to thank you again for your time. Today's session is called Is Your Business One Outage Away from a Disaster? The IT trends every business owner and internal IT team needs to understand. Now, that sounds dramatic, and I promise this isn't going to be a doom and gloom cyber lecture where I tell you everything is broken and the internet is on fire. Although, I can't control when one of the Kardashians breaks it, but we're really here to talk about is how IT has changed, why businesses of all sizes are now exposed in different ways, and what good IT protection actually looks like today. So by the end, you should have a clearer idea of the trends affecting Australian businesses, the risks hiding in plain sight, and how a strong IT partnership helps reduce those risks before they become problems. Like Anna said, my name is Stephanie. I'm with NinjaOne. I've been in the industry professionally for almost 15 years, but I did grow up in my dad's IT shop. Didn't really learn anything from him, but I can claim it, so there we go. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager with NinjaOne, and I'm really glad to be here. Okay, so here's our token agenda slide, so you can vaguely see what's coming up next, but all you really need to know is that the goal is simple. I'm here to help you understand what's happening behind the scenes so you can feel more confident about the technology your business depends on. Let's start with the obvious. The way we work has changed dramatically, and not just in a we all got better at Zoom and Teams calls kind of ways, but the entire shape of business IT has shifted. If you look at back in 2019, it was easier to picture. People worked in one building, servers were down the hall, devices sat on desks, and if something went wrong, someone could physically walk over and take a look. Today, that picture looks a little bit different. Your data is in Microsoft 365, it's in cloud platforms, SaaS tools, shared drives, CRMs, accounting systems, and apps your team may have signed up for without telling anybody. Your people may be working from the office or at home, client sites, airports, really anywhere with half decent Wi Fi, and your devices are literally everywhere. That changes the job of IT, and the old idea of protecting the office network really isn't enough anymore because the office is no longer the boundary. The endpoint is now the front line. Every laptop, desktop, server, mobile device, remote connection becomes part of this security picture. And as we're all constantly reminded of, hybrid work is not a temporary adjustment anymore. It's simply how many businesses operate. While this creates flexibility, it's great. It also creates more endpoints outside the office, more devices IT can't physically see, and more opportunities for small issues to go unnoticed. It's interesting because I've been actually working from home for like 15 years, as long as I've been in the industry, and that wasn't so common back then. But, it was something I didn't think about until working with NinjaOne that, something as simple as checking something quick for work on my personal laptop, it happened all day long. I'll check this quickly. And, exposing my IT infrastructure to all the devices I'm connected to through my home network. It's just stuff like that that's just become commonplace. But you got to think about, the laptop in my example that hasn't checked in for 2 weeks, or Back then, 5, 6 years ago, it would have been sitting on a desk in an office. Someone would have noticed that it hasn't been plugged in or been online yet. But today, it could be in someone's home office, sitting in a backpack, connected to a home router, missing patches, and quietly becoming a risk. And that's why modern IT isn't just about fixing things when people call, it's about continuously knowing what's out there. Now let's look at the data. This is my favorite part, so I really love getting into actual data and what's going on because that kind of informs us how to respond. And there are some clear trends. So cyber risk is increasing, but so is the ability to reduce that risk when businesses have the right visibility, automation, and response plans in place. So good news. There's an underlying thread of good news here, but there are some pretty alarming stats to look at as well. Now, again, this isn't supposed to be doom and gloom, so we're going to look at what is happening and then how we can respond to it. So today in Australia, a cybercrime report is filled every 6 minutes. That statistic alone should make all of us pause for at least a second. But the key point here is not that every business is doomed, it's that businesses that do best are the ones that detect issues early. Another stat here, IBM found that more breaches are being detected by organizations' security teams. And that matters because when you detect the issue first, you control the response. Versus when the attacker tells you, or God forbid, a customer tells you, or when your system simply stops working, you're already on the back foot. And the difference becomes, or between we spotted something unusual and contained it, and we found out because everything went down, is really enormous. So that visibility is really important because visibility buys you time. And in IT, time is often the difference between a minor incident and a major business disruption. Now, one of the biggest myths in cybersecurity is that we're too small to be a target. And that would be comforting if attackers worked from a neat list of company names, but most don't. A lot of attacks are automated. Tools scan the internet looking for unpatched systems, exposed services, weak passwords, poor backup posture, and vulnerable devices. They're not always looking for your business specifically, they're looking for easy entry. It's the way I like to think about it is it's like someone walking down the street checking car doors. They're not really targeting your car because it's special, even if it is. They're targeting it because the door was unlocked. And that's why small and mid-sized businesses are attractive targets, not because attackers love your industry, but because gaps in patching, visibility, and backups make businesses easier to exploit. And it's really not a matter of if, it's a matter of being prepared for when. Because the cost of a breach is really a function of preparation. Couple things that come to mind for me is like, do you know what devices you have? Do you know if they're patched? Are your backups working? Has anyone tested the restore process of those backups? And is there a response plan? In other words, does the team know what to do and who to call if something happens? You can see on the screen here that the average breach cost in Australia is pretty significant, but that number changes quite dramatically when organizations have security, automation, monitoring, and tested incident response plans. Like I said, it's not a matter of if really, and it's not really a matter of when, but being prepared for if and when something bad will ever happen. It means when something does happen, you're not making it up as you go. Okay, so here's the encouraging part. So the good news, businesses are getting better at detecting and containing breaches when they use monitoring tools and automation. And that's important because the conversation should not leave you feeling helpless. I don't want that to be the thread after this, because the right tools and the right IT partnership really make a measurable difference. Couple of things that I wanted to pull out. You can kind of see them on the slide here, but continuous monitoring helps spot those issues faster. Automation helps reduce that human delay, and tested recovery processes help businesses get back up and running faster. And like I said, it's not about being perfect, but it's about being prepared, informed, and able to respond quickly. So, what does that look like in practical terms? At the virtual IT department, a lot of that work happens quietly in the background, and that's actually the point because good IT often feels uneventful. When systems are monitored, patches are handled, and backups are checked, the business can keep moving without needing to think about every technical detail. Now, we're going to go over the three biggest gaps that NinjaOne sees, and then kind of what's going on and how the virtual IT department provides that value concerning that gap. So the first area that we're looking at is visibility. One of the biggest challenges in modern IT is simply knowing what's happening across every device in your business. We looked at the slide from like 2019 IT. Well, that many years ago, it was relatively easy. Most devices sat inside the office. And if something wasn't working, someone usually noticed. And today it's a different story. Your team might be working from home or traveling or whatever. Devices come and go, laptops move between networks, and cloud services are constantly being accessed. And that's why continuous visibility has become so important. The good news is that this is something the virtual IT department is already handling for you. Behind the scenes, they're continuously monitoring your endpoints, checking that devices are online, healthy, patched, and behaving as expected through the NinjaOne platform. Now, if a laptop hasn't checked in, if a device suddenly goes offline, or if something starts behaving unusually, they're often aware of it before it even becomes a business issue. And that's really the goal, not waiting for something to break, but identifying it early enough that you never really feel the impact. The second area is patching. The exploit timeline has dramatically dropped to mere hours, whereas just last year, the average time to exploit was 21 and a half days. Now, in 2026, we're sitting at 24 hours, which is crazy, but there's also a lot of great things happening to combat that. So I don't know about you, but I don't really get excited whenever I have a Windows update. But those updates are one of the simplest and most effective ways to reduce cyber risk. The challenge for many, many businesses is really consistency because you've got things to do. People are busy, devices are switched off, updates get postponed. And before you know it, weeks have passed and the vulnerabilities remain open much, much, much longer than they should. That's why automation makes such a difference. And thanks to NinjaOne, the virtual IT department has that automated patching policies in place that help ensure updates are deployed quickly, consistently, and across your entire environment. So rather than relying on someone remembering to install the updates, the process becomes proactive and repeatable and closes that exposure window. It's one of those things that when it's working well, you hardly notice, and that's exactly how we want it to be. And then the third area is backup, and this is where preparation really pays off. Most businesses know backups are important, of course, but the real value isn't simply having backups, it's knowing they'll work when you actually need them. As you can see on the slide, 71% of SMBs feel confident in handling a major cybersecurity incident. However, that's compared to only 22% of SMBs that report actually having an advanced cybersecurity posture. And to me, that is a major gap. But one of the things the NinjaOne platform provides is continuously monitored backup health. And the virtual IT department isn't just checking that backups exist, they're checking that they're completing successfully, that they're healthy, and that recovery is possible if the unexpected happens. Because a backup really only becomes valuable the day that you need to restore it. And the businesses that recover the fastest really aren't necessarily the ones that never have experienced an issue. They're the ones that already know their backups are working. So hopefully you'll never need to rely on those backups, but if you ever do, they need to be there, monitored, tested, and of course, ready. So those are the three big gaps where VITD has your back: visibility, patching, and backup. Each one sounds technical, but each one maps directly to business continuity. Visibility means no device goes unseen, and patching means known risks get closed quickly, and backup means recovery is possible if and when something goes wrong. And this is exactly what a good IT partnership should handle. Not once a year, not when someone remembers, but continuously. Now let's shift into what good IT feels like for your business. Ideally, it should feel calm, not because nothing is happening, but because the right things are happening in the background. In a strong co-managed IT environment, you are not expected to see everything. That's the virtual IT department's job. And if the virtual IT department calls you about a device that hasn't checked in, there's a reason. If patches are deployed automatically, it means your team is not carrying the burden of remembering every update. And if the backup health is monitored, it means recovery is being confirmed before the emergency. That's what proactive IT looks like. It's not just help desk support. It's not just waiting for tickets. It's a system designed to find problems before they become visible to your business. I always like to say the best IT issues are the ones you never had to experience. For Australian organizations, this was kind of cool, and I got to learn about this working with Anna and Josh on this deck. But I got to learn about these ACSC Essential 8, which is a recognized cybersecurity baseline for Australian businesses. These controls include things like application control, patching, macro configuration, user application hardening, restricting admin privileges, MFA, and tested backups. Pretty important. They're really not abstract security ideas. These are really practical disciplines. It basically comes down to patch your systems, limit unnecessary access, harden applications, use multi-factor authentication, and test your backups. Really nothing especially glamorous about this. It's kind of the basics of good cyber hygiene. But the Essential 8 gives businesses that strong framework for reducing preventable risk. And the good news is that with NinjaOne, you've got 3 of those 8 covered. And this is one of my favorite slides in this entire deck. It's the same incident, but different outcomes. On the left, you're seeing, what happens without the right tooling. And on the right, you see with the right IT partnership and the right tools, every device is visible. Patch status is real time. Unpatched devices are flagged before they become entry points. Backup jobs are monitored. Failed jobs trigger alerts. The incident is contained and a clean restore is available. That's the difference between disruption and disaster. Oops, other way. And it's not one business had a problem, the other didn't. Both had an incident. The difference was preparation. And that is the message I'd really like everyone to take away from today. Business continuity hinges on preparedness. And cyber resilience really isn't about avoiding every possible problem. It's just making sure one problem does not become a business-ending event. So good protection comes from 2 things working together. I kind of hinted at it in the last slide, but the right tools and the right partner. The right tools give visibility, automation, alerts, patching, backup, monitoring, and reporting. And the right partner understands your business, your people, your priorities, and your risk tolerance. Tools without a partner can honestly become noise. A partner without the right tools can just become reactive, but together they really become a force multiplier. That means your business doesn't have to choose between productivity and protection. You can keep your team focused on running the business while virtual IT department helps keep the technology foundation stable, secure, and resilient. And I feel like I flew through this whole thing, but we've come to the end with questions. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. Yeah, you're a pro. I do have a question here. So you will have heard in the last week, or you may not have, that the Five Eyes released a statement or a rare event really warning businesses about the impending escalating risk of AI and cybersecurity. And one of the recommendations that they released at that time to help organisations be prepared was to be adopting this adoption of AI-powered tools. Now, I read that, and when I did, I thought there's so many businesses out there that are going to go, well, how do I know if my tools are AI powered, and what does that even mean? So I was wondering if you could speak to, I guess, not only the escalating risk in the environment that is coming and is coming quickly for cyber attacks, but how is NinjaOne, is probably the one you're best placed to speak to, being AI powered and preparing businesses like everyone on this call to face that threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're 100% right. And that's why at the beginning, when I showed the kind of the timeline, that vulnerability exposure timeline has shrunk so dramatically to just 24 hours or less because of AI, unfortunately. But AI also affords us countermeasures. So I know at NinjaOne that we have our autonomous patch management and our patch intelligence AI. So what this does is bring together known exploits and CVEs and other things that I'm not the expert in, but and test the sentiment on what needs to actually be patched more quickly. Like it helps you prioritize those patches, and test the validity and the of those patches, so that it kind of gets the sentiment across various data sources to test whether show you whether it's actually a good one to install now, or wait till it's actually validated. So that's just one of the things that we're doing with AI. There is more coming down the pipeline that I can't talk about, but that's one of the coolest ones in my opinion around vulnerability management and the patch intelligence AI, because it's a problem. AI is a real problem for cybersecurity, and it's just exploded the attack surface. And so being able to combat that is really cool.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really interesting time. We assess our tools every 12 months, as you all know, and make sure that our tools are performing to the ecosystem we find ourselves in. But there is so much happening in that space, and it is so important to be across it. When it comes to, I guess, I was thinking before around the backup function in a business and business continuity. And we have a lot of these conversations with a lot of our clients, because either insurance is saying, hey, you need to have this, list of 5 things in your business, or there's a genuine push from the board or leadership around how we're going to write out these events. You've seen across many, many businesses, much like us. What are some of the best approaches to business continuity that you're seeing, and what would you, I guess, recommend beyond not just tools, but definitely tools to help businesses really step up their approach?
Oh yeah, so backup's the big one. I mean, you said it, and it's funny to me that the cyber insurers are the ones kind of like pushing and prodding on that. But I'm here for it because you just don't know. And having that backup available to restore is literally a business saver. There's other statistics that I could talk about where, most small businesses that get hit with ransomware attacks do not open their doors again. It's really, really startling. And that's something that can be totally preventable by having a backup ready to restore. Other things that, kind of tie back to the ACSC 8, I think it was, making sure access is locked down. That's another big one. There's so many businesses that have open access, and people get in just by not locking things down or not having multi-factor authentication installed, even though it's a pain in the butt. We know it's a pain in the butt to use MFA, but it really is so important. So those are the 2 major ones in my opinion, from what we're seeing on this end, is as backup and just good cyber hygiene, the basics.
Absolutely. And we're seeing a lot more of those scenarios or those opportunities to actually play out a playbook, and some of the gaps that is revealing in organisational structures, or who calls who when and where, who has the answer to that question that may be needed. So I'd encourage anyone on the call to speak with your ITM if you've got an appetite for a scenario, or if you've got an appetite to run a playbook. We would love to do that with you. We think it's important, and there are always learnings that we walk away with, and improvements, particularly around disaster recovery and business continuity plans and planning, that can actually be followed in the moment, and not tried for the first time. Awesome. Well, I can't see any other questions coming through, so I'm going to give you all 5 minutes back in your glorious day. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We hope that you've enjoyed, I guess, the fodder, and we will also make the recording available, of course, for anyone who couldn't make it. Stephanie, thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. I know it's late at night where you are, and we appreciate you staying up and joining us for lunch on Tuesday. It's a lovely day when you get there. But yeah, thank you, everyone. We hope you have a great day, and you'll hear from us shortly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks all.